institutional framework that the scientists have been successful at putting forward, in terms of creating a consent towards Islamophobia. This is a strategic for the scientists, okay? This is a strategic, as I mentioned, because in a sense, Muslim populations inside the West, we're talking about millions of people inside the West, okay? So they, in their own Orientalist and racist mentality, they think that the most natural critical views in the public opinion in the West will come from the Muslim communities because of the association of Palestinians, Arabs, Muslims, etc. I'm saying in the most Orientalist perspective because we know Palestinians are also Christians, okay? And they're even Palestinian Jews, okay? And so we need to, Palestinians is not just Muslims, but this is the way in their mentality. So therefore, they have put a strong effort in making sure that Muslims in the West are going to be perceived, with suspiciousness, associated with terrorism, associated with, part of it is the analogy because part of the analogy is, you're fighting terrorism there from the Muslim, we're fighting it too here. You see, and they want to kind of criminalize and construct as terrorists the resistance, you see? And part of the Zionist machine is to tie with Islamophobia as the way to, to basically put in place Muslim populations everywhere and put them as some kind of subaltern group, dominated group, suspicious group in the eyes of Western population, Western public opinion, because they cannot afford a transformation of the public opinion in the West away from Zionism, that is turning into anti-Zionism. Because, as I explained already, this is entangled to their sources of existence and support, right? If there is a change in the policies of these states, Zionists are going to be, in a very weak position to sustain themselves in the long run. You see, they survive out of funding, out of military support, out of all this stuff coming from the West. So that's why, in a sense, in Prevent, if you happen to be pro-Palestinian, you see, you're going to be targeted and seen as suspicious of terrorism and stuff like that. So this is Prevent is part of this institutional framework I've been talking before, that is also entangled with the Zionist project. And so we cannot be naive about it and think that this is completely off. No, it's entangled with it. And then in terms of the interface dialogue, how to do, I think that what we need to do is the best interfaith dialogue we can have is among people of all faith, including atheists, okay? Because atheism for me is a faith too. It's a belief, okay? Because it's a belief that God do not exist, right? So it's still a belief, okay? So in that sense, among all the believers, okay, and I include there the atheists, to fight together against Zionist terrorism and atrocities. I think that's the best interfaith dialogue. Put at the center of the conversation this question about Zionism as something that, first, Zionism is not a Jewish thing. There are Christian Zionists, there are Muslim Zionists. I mean, look at the Saudis today, okay? There are Muslim Zionists, and there are Jewish Zionists. And on the other side, there are Jewish anti-Zionists, Muslim anti-Zionists, and Christian anti-Zionists, and atheist anti-Zionists, and atheist Zionists. Okay, so you see what I mean? So instead of talking about some abstract interface dialogue, let's talk about justice. Does the center of the conversation. Let's talk about justice. Okay? Let's talk about getting together to fight unjust structures of domination, including Zionism. And that, I think, is a more fruitful interfaith dialogue. Because we might not agree on the theologies, atheist theology or the other theologies, okay? We might not believe in that among each other, you see what I mean? But we might have in common the struggle against injustices and the struggle for social justice. And I think that's the best interfaith dialogue that we can have. So, my goal will be to decolonize interfaith dialogue away from depoliticization, away from Zionist manipulation, that kind of thing, and I'm not opposed to it as long as we put interfaith dialogue in relation to social justice. And social justice has to include a strong anti-Zionist position, you see? That has to be very clear. How to organize against extreme right, I mean, again, it's kind of similar to what I just said about getting together to fight for social justice, and in a sense, extreme right groups are today Zionists. Have you noticed this? All the extreme right groups today are all Zionists. It's amazing. And they all go and do their visit to Israel as some kind of pilgrimage to get legitimation as extreme right group. Have you seen this? It's like a pilgrimage of neo-fascists today is to go to Israel. Did you see Bolsonaro, the fascist in Brazil? First thing he did was to move the embassy to Jerusalem. Did you see this? His two sons are in a photo walking down the streets of Jerusalem with, IDF shirts, in support of Israel, all that stuff, So if you are extreme right today, you have to go to the sacred land of extreme right, which is Zionist Israel. Thank you.